All right, really, really happy to have with me today Robin Zander from the band Cheap Trick. One of the first records that I ever listened to, I was probably 6 or 7 years old, was your live record from Japan. And the fact that I'm talking to you today, I gotta admit, I'm a little excited.
Well, listen now, are you trying to make me feel like an old man?
Well, no, I'm not. I'm trying to let you know.
No.
What's that? You're not an old man. But I gotta tell you, when I listen to this new record, um, you guys sound like a bunch of guys that just still really, really want to do it, which is so refreshing because a lot of bands that have been around as long as you, I don't know if not to not to borrow a pun or anything, but I don't know if they still have the flame, but you guys do.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Um, to me, it's just what we've always done. You know, we've always been a touring band that likes to record, and if we didn't feel that way, and we'd probably give it up. You know, but we've always kind of had that energy about us.
It's I think right now this is what the world needs is a Cheap Trick record to get your mind off of things and just to remember, remind everybody that things can be a lot of fun too. So thank you for putting this out.
Hey, well, we've always been kind of like that. You know, we kind of look at the positive side of life. You know, because there can be some really down times in your lives, and God knows that a good smile on your face helps.
It's obviously live shows are a big part of Cheap Trick. How tough has it been for you guys not to be able to play live?
Well, it's been horrible. It's like a double sword, though. You know, I finally got to meet my wife uh, after being married for 27 years. Um, but having a whole year off for Cheap Trick is like a death in the family. You know, it's
Yeah,
hard to swallow. Um, but you know, we've had to cancel a couple tours. We were coming to Canada with ZZ Top,
yeah.
going to tour the whole country, and that got pushed back. We were going to go to Europe in the States with Rod Stewart, and that got pushed back. You know, we're the world's most famous opening act.
Obviously, one of the places in the world that had the best handle on this whole pandemic was Australia, and you guys are heading to Australia. How excited are you?
I'm very excited. Are you kidding? We're beside ourselves, and it is one of the only places in the world we can do this. So, you know, we're very excited to go over there. We got to stay 2 weeks in quarantine when we get there.
Right. You guys covered John Lennon's "Give Me Some Truth." You had Steve Jones involved. Tell me a bit about how that came to be and what that was like working that out with him.
Well, first of all, that song in particular stuck in my mind because of the state of our country, um, and that's all I'll need to say about it. But then we were doing a radio show with Steve Jones, his radio show in California, and we are, you know, recording our album, and that song was one that we were in the middle of. So we just asked him if he'd like to, you know, get out and play a little bit, and I think he was itching to do that. So he agreed, and he came to play, and it sounds great. He's one of the most underrated guitar players around.
I got to be honest. I talked to a lot of people. I was so excited when we nailed this down because being such a fan from such a young age, just seeing that Dream Police album cover when you're a little kid, it's like, what is this? It got me into rock and roll. Um, so
Yeah.
and I'm glad to see that you guys are still continuing and that you haven't let this last year, um, you know, t- tire you out because a lot of people it took the wind out of them.
Well, I'm good. I think you know, we've always tried to surround ourselves with people that are better than us. So we like, for instance, we've worked with almost every producer on the planet.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and each album that we do is a little bit different than the other. We're a pretty diverse band. You know, we've got all different kinds of influences that we wear on our sleeve, and we always tend to steal from the best. So, you know, but these guys that I work with are just they're phenomenal. They're geniuses in my mind in their own right, and you know, it's just an honor to have been in this band for over 45 years I mean, it's 46 going on 47 right now. So,
Yeah.
that to me is something that very few people can say.
Yeah, well, that is for sure, and the fact that you put out a record that's coming out in April that's as good as it is at this point shows that you're the real deal. So I applaud you for that. Tell me a bit about working with the producer you worked on for this record, because you guys like to label him as almost like the fifth member.
Yes, he has been for the last few records. I mean, Julian Raymond is I met in the early to mid '80s. He was in a band with Tom called Another Language. When Tom left the band, he formed a group with Julian, and that's sort of the connection there. And then later on, Julian and I got to write some songs together. Um, and we kind of liked working together. He's a great guy. He's talented. He's a singer. He's a songwriter. He's, you know, all the things that you like to see in a producer. And so we decided to use him on a record. I think it was the Rockford record. And from that point on, he was co-producing our albums. And it's sort of like you said, he kind of became a fifth member of the group, aside from the touring angle.
Yeah. Did he lend a lot to the big hooks? I mean, you guys have always had that in your formula. It's always been about having a big chorus that just grabs you. Was he kind of in line with you guys in that like, did he just fit in with that formula?
Well, yeah, I think he does, but it's sort of like you. He's a younger dude,
Yeah.
And I think he was influenced by Cheap Trick in a big way.
Yeah.
And so he grabbed onto that sort of formula in his own mind. But yeah, he does fit right in with everything that we've been doing in the last few years.
Well, it's I gotta say it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I think the new record is fantastic. I can't wait till everybody hears it. I can't wait till we can see you in North America, and be safe in Australia. And like, really, Robin, I want you to want me hearing that at 7 or 8 years old. That album cover it set me on a path. So I want to thank you for all of that.
All right, well, that's no problem. Anytime.